Hard Knocks last night. Aiden Hutchinson, second overall pick for the Detroit Lions. Billie Jean. You know how it goes. HBO's Hard Knocks debuted last night. It was electrifying. One of the most talked about Hard Knocks episodes in quite some time after the boring shit show that the Cowboys were and the Rams-Chargers COVID thing. This is interesting to see your daily sports podcast and video blog. LOL. Sports, gambling, fantasy football, highlights, etc. So we're going to go through Hard Knocks and talk about all of that. There was, of course, some NFL news. News is hot and heavy as training camp rolls on. Injuries and different things, including a guy requesting a trade. But we're going to start today with baseball. Why are we starting with baseball? Well, two funny things happened yesterday. Two hilarious things. One of which involves this guy named Keith Hernandez just dumping on the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, Keith is an announcer for the New York Baseball Mets, and he's not going to make two of the series against the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies and the Mets are the rivals. They are in the ANL East, which is, God, I don't know, Florida Marlins or the Miami Marlins, Atlanta Braves, Philadelphia Phillies, the New York Baseball Mets, and the Washington Nationals. So it should be easy, but he said he doesn't want to go. Say, Keith Hernandez, former baseball player, why don't you want to go? Let's hear it.
They gave me to get the series off.
You hate doing Philly games?
Oh, because they've always never seemed to. Oh, up and in fastball.
Just
they
calling
never
the game.
seem to disappoint. I mean, over the years, now they're hot right now, but I would like to see them. But, you know, as far as fundamentally, defensively, the Phillies have always been just, not up to it.
The Phillies have not been up to it over the years. All of the professional baseball teams have been up to it. That's just so funny. He's scared of Philadelphia. He doesn't want to go because it smells bad in the summer. Bruh. So, of course, he's going to be roasted. That's not going to end well for him publicly online. And I imagine Keith Hernandez speaking like that probably doesn't have social media, but he might. Who the hell knows? Also, this happened. I don't know who this guy is, number 14 for the Pirates. When he was sliding into third base, his cell phone fell out of his ass pocket. Watch it.
Astro slides into third.
Look at
his phone comes out of his pocket.
Look
now
at
that's
it.
A first.
He had his phone. Are players allowed to have their phones? No. No, they are not. Neato. Good for you, bro. Look at. Let's watch that slow motion. Look at that. Here it comes. The ump right there. Look at. Watch his left ass cheek. It's just. He did the at bat with his phone in his pocket. That is funny. We live in such a phone world. These Gen Z people and their cell phones. One more baseball highlight. We do one more baseball highlight for you. Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado been going yard for the Padres all year. However, they recently added Juan Soto, which is an insane lineup that they have. They're not going to be able to afford all these guys, obviously. But first home run as a Padre. Here we go.
Payoff pitch. And a high fly ball to deep right field. Juan Soto has left the yard. First time in a Padres uniform.
What a swing, bro. Payoff pitch is a... You know how many times I've heard the phrase payoff pitch? That means something's going to happen this pitch. Not necessarily. They could foul it off, which seems to happen every time an announcer says payoff pitch. Okay, let's do football. It is time to talk about Dan Campbell. Hard Knocks was fun. Dan Campbell's exciting. He says a lot of fun stuff. He vividly describes how some teams are scared of the water, that some teams wade in the shallow end, and that to win the Super Bowl, you have to drag those shallow end teams. I guess those are like the teams that limp into the playoffs, metaphorically. You have to drag them out to the deep end and drown them. Dope. And, yeah, he gets the boys fired up, which is awesome. Other highlights from the show, Aaron Glenn and Deuce Staley, basically just talking a lot of shit, offense versus defense. Deuce Staley is the running backs coach and assistant head coach, second in command of Detroit. Aaron Glenn is the defensive coordinator. Both of those guys I highly suspect will be head coaches in the NFL soon, very soon. My guess is next year, Aaron Glenn will be a head coach, and the year after that, maybe even sooner, Deuce Staley will be in the NFL. Let's get some Dan Campbell sound bites. How about this one?
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Wait, what? One more time?
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Love to see it. You also found that they went live full pads a couple practice, which is really interesting because Dan Campbell talked about how they have science that you have to get hit in order to be ready for the season, which is interesting because these grown men are like, I know how to tackle, and they do for the most part. Some of them need to learn some technique, and some, there's innovation at the highest levels. But a lot of this stuff they don't need to practice. What they do need to practice is coordination. However, scientifically, one of the reasons the first 2 or 3 weeks there's a ton of injuries is guys haven't been going live, like they haven't been hitting, so they need to kind of baptize them, which you think is what the preseason is for. But you have to do this in a way that people aren't going to get hurt, or the 4 or 5 people that would ruin your season aren't going to get hurt. That's the theory behind all of this. So that was kind of interesting, something that I kind of liked and was paying attention to is like, what do we really know about how much people should and shouldn't be hitting? And I kind of like that. We do need to take our attention to Foxborough, Massachusetts. The New England Patriots are a story this offseason that I've kind of avoided. Do we have time to do a deep dive? We'll talk about it more this year. But right now, this is what's going on in New England. They have Mac Jones, a second-year quarterback. They were top 10 in scoring offense last year. He's a rookie from Alabama. He's about hit his ceiling. He doesn't have a great arm, but he's just a really good processor and just going to be a good football player. During the offseason, the longtime and best and most successful offensive coordinator for the Patriots, Josh McDaniels, took the head coaching job in Las Vegas. Fine, sure. Belichick loses coaches all the time. Matt Patricia and Joe Judge waddled back to him with their hat in their hand. Patricia was last year, Judge was this year, and now there's no real offensive coordinator, although Matt Patricia is going to be calling plays. The interesting thing here is that the Patriots are going to install the offense that everyone from the Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan coaching tree are running, which are there are different variations, but the following teams run this with a couple more that kind of dabble. So Kyle Shanahan with the Giants, Sean McVay of the Rams, zone blocking, the zone running scheme. The Packers run this. I believe the Jets are trying to run this year, and there are some others. It's incredibly hard and intricate to do this. So they're installing it this year with Matt Patricia, who was a defensive coordinator. Apparently, and we'll get into this more in a couple weeks when we see them, it is a shit show. Apparently, now people are like, either Bill Belichick has lost it, or it's entirely possible that he's tanking to install this really hard thing in a year where they're just accepting that they're going to be bad, which would be weirdly insightful from old Bill Belichick, but that's definitely a storyline to watch. Mekhi Becton, former first-round draft pick of the New York Jets, he's a freak of nature when he plays. He just doesn't take care of his body. He gets hurt. He's out for the year now with something else. He just doesn't take being a pro very seriously, according to basically everybody that follows the team. I don't know. Maybe that's racist. Maybe they're not following very closely, but someone joked that he's under 400 pounds. It doesn't seem like he's taking it as seriously as he needs to, but what do I know? But now he's out for the year. Roquan Smith, first-round draft pick of the Chicago Bears and middle linebacker. He and the team are far apart in contract negotiations, and now he has requested a trade. The team came out and did a press conference. They're a joke. The Chicago Bears are a joke. They got rid of their good players in trades this offseason. Okay, you're going to break it down, but then you have to have a couple building blocks. He was like their one of their 2 or 3 building blocks, and now he wants a trade. So the last thing that they have is Justin Fields, and that guy, I mean, what's the over-under on when he requests a trade? It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Marshawn Lynch was arrested for driving under the influence. When he was arrested, the right rear tire had a flat, and the rim was gone. So he had just been driving this car, got a flat, and he just kept driving it. Not a good look for Marshawn. Not great. Come on, buddy. But that's not really a sports story. He's kind of a has-been. I think that he was going to be involved in Amazon's coverage of the NFL. I forget. There was a plan for him to be involved with the NFL, for sure. Roger Goodell commented on the Deshaun Watson appeal. Many people are suspecting that the appeal is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 17 games plus $5 to $10 million fine. It's going to be insane. Allegedly, there are deadlines coming up, so I fully expect that to be settled this week. I think it'll be settled this week, and then we'll know, and you can fade the Browns. I'm sure that Vegas has caught on to this. Nobody really knew what was going to happen. There are probably some betting advantages to be had there. We're going to preview fantasy football, who you should and shouldn't draft, the tier system, and whatever else. I highly recommend. My hot take on fantasy football this year is I think Saquon Barkley is going to be legit. The New York Giants running back, remember, second overall pick, Saquon? I think that he is going to be back crushing it. A couple injuries, and people recover from ACLs at a different pace. Every now and then someone does it in a freakishly fast time frame. You're like, oh, yeah, ACL, it's actually 9 months now. Like, nah, everybody's different. Every tear is different. It's not the same thing. I'll get you out of here on this. This is Robert Walton, one of the heirs to the Sam Walton fortune. If you don't know who Sam Walton is, he invented Walmart and would still to this day probably be richer than Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. If he were alive, his 3 kids are among the top 10 richest people in the world. It's crazy. That guy's who bought the Broncos. And if you ever want to see a billionaire alpha a millionaire, this is what it sounds like. Who's the commissioner of the NFL, guys? I don't know, Bob Walton. Who do you think is the commissioner of the NFL? This is, I literally can't even with this. Just take a listen. Turn that down just for y'all. Here we go.
I'd like to thank Roger Goodell.
Wait, hold on. What? Commissioner Goodell. Oh, man, Bob Walton. I love it. He doesn't even give a shit who the commissioner is or know or care. He doesn't care. Or he's old. He is old, but bro. Thanks, Commissioner Goodell. I'd like to thank Commissioner Goodell, too. That's going to do it for this edition of Interesting to See. Back and better than ever tomorrow. Fantasy football preview coming up this week, and preseason football coming up on Friday as well. We'll try to make you some money. See you tomorrow.